Mayo Clinic authentic document with a signature and a date. Nonetheless, the correspondence between the OSP and the lawyers on February 11th, 2025, 12 men, including 1 police officer, 4 military personnel, and 7 unidentified individuals in plain clothes raided Mr. Ken Ofori-Attah's home. Video footage of the raid reveals that one Richard, a third accused in the famous ambulance trial case, accompanied the men into the residence of Mr. Ofori-Attah, all armed to the teeth. Somebody is declared a fugitive. It means that person cannot be reached, cannot be traced. You don't even know where the person is. And at least you give yourself a reasonable time after a search. In any case, the OSP lacked that power to declare anybody. It is only the court that can do so. The special prosecutor's letter from January 24th had prompted Mr. Ofori-Attah to leave Ghana, the OSP might be justified in harboring suspicion. However, Mr. Ofori-Attah was already out of the country well before OSPs contacted him. He traveled on the 2nd of January, and your letter to him came in on the 24th of January. So how could the man be labeled as a fugitive when he was already in the country? Indeed, he was not even the finance minister about 8 months before the elections. And you, Mr. Kiseh Jaben, you were the special prosecutor. And he was in the country throughout. For 8 months to the election, you could not invite the person. The person steps out of the country for medical attention. And it is not as if you wrote to the person before he traveled. Your letter came 2 weeks after he had traveled. And yet, you unreasonably label this person as a fugitive. Very, very, very unreasonable. To avoid any misunderstanding, since he was appointed Minister of Finance in 2017, Mr. Ofori-Attah has consistently demonstrated unwavering transparency and respect in response to all legal inquiries and state investigation involving him. The Eurobond conflict of interest probe by Sraj, the vote of censure by Parliament readily comes to mind. Mr. Ofori-Attah has remained present, fully engaged, and open with the relevant authorities throughout these proceedings. Openness and cooperation reinforces a commitment to upholding the highest standards of integrity. That can never be a fugitive. He is not a fugitive, and he will never be a fugitive. The OSP got it wrong. Wrong. Once Mr. Ofori-Attah's doctors declare him fit and healthy, he will return to the country. Until then, the special prosecutor should avoid making sensational statements, provoking public emotions, and creating drama over the matter that could have been adequately resolved through correspondence. If you label your former finance minister as a fugitive, which indeed is not so, what you are doing is that it's a national embarrassment. It amounts to national embarrassment. Indeed, the length of your correspondence is just 2 weeks, and you can't wait. It's not as if the person is lost. The person cannot be traced. Again, the special prosecutor also mentioned in his press statement yesterday that the former National Petroleum Authority boss, Honorable Dr. Sheikh Mustafa Abdul Hamid, is a subject matter of investigation. Again, in a very bizarre situation, you put together a press conference that Dr. Mustafa Hamid is a subject matter for some investigations, that is corruption-related offenses. Yet at the time you were making such a statement, Mustafa had not even received even a text message, even a letter, even a phone call, nothing, no correspondence that you need him for investigation. Is this fair? Is that how you do your work? It is interesting to note that Honorable Mustafa has not received any invitation from the special prosecutor or any state investigative body, nor has he been under any investigation for any said alleged crime. Let me state that the MPP are going to cooperate with any state investigative body. We are. The MPP are members, past CEOs, past officials, anybody. We are going to fully cooperate. Let it be known that the New Patriotic Party and our members are law-abiding and will cooperate fully with any state institution. But however, we will reject any form of political harassment. Any form of political harassment. What happened in Mr. Ofriate's house is very unfortunate. We are not in a jungle. What happened there? And for the special prosecutor to even say that his intelligence revealed that what happened in Mr. Ofriate's house was staged, managed. It was staged by himself. It's very unfortunate. When especially we have CCTV footages showing all of these men in uniform, all the vehicles used, and one Japa leading the men. So the OSP got it wrong. What kind of intelligence is he gathering? What kind of intelligence? Ladies and gentlemen of the media, let's move on to the next issue. The government's illegal directive to nullify or to revoke public service appointment made after December 7th, 2024 is regressive, potentially detrimental to the democratic gains and governance in Ghana. The President's directive to the Chief of Staff instructing heads of government agencies to nullify or to revoke all public service appointments made after December 7th is poorly conceived, illegal, and profoundly damaging to the hardworking Ghanaian. This decision contradicts the core principles of job creation, which the ruling party promised through its 24-hour economy. We were here in Ghana, we were told that the 24-hour economy will provide jobs in the morning, some will go in the afternoon, others will go at night. So what happened? Mr. President, in addition to its devastating effect on individuals and families, the directive lacks legal foundation and compromises the integrity of Ghana's public service recruitment processes. Public service recruitment in Ghana is not arbitrary. It follows strict bureaucratic processes with multiple levels of approval before hiring a personnel. The agency must obtain financial clearance or board approval from the relevant authorities. In some cases, even from Public Services Commission. You must secure financial clearance from the Ministry of Finance, incorporate new hires into its annual budget planning, and adhere to specific timelines set by the Ministry of Finance, which often spans months or even years. So the processes of recruitment is not just an event. Ladies and gentlemen, it is absurd to suggest that public services could bypass all these public agencies, could bypass all these procedures after December 7th, 2024, and illegally recruit staff. The mere date of appointment does not invalidate the due process that was followed before these individuals were hired. If recruitment occurred within an approved financial clearance period, retroactively nullifying these appointments clearly violates administrative justice and employment rights. Further, Ghana's labor laws protect employees from arbitrary dismissals. Appointments that follow proper procedures establish legal contracts between the employees and the state. A blanket cancellation of such appointment would constitute unlawful termination, exposing the government to potential lawsuit. Accordingly, the letter signed by the Chief of Staff stated that the recruitments were made in the public services are not in compliance with established good governance practice and principles. It is worthy to note that this so-called good governance practice and principles can never be grounds for termination of appointment. In his letter, he never mentioned that these recruitments were done illegally, they did not follow due process. He never mentioned so. He only said that it was against good governance and practices, all because the people received their appointment letters on the 7th of December 2020. Constitutionally, every government has a 4-year mandate. And it is clear when the mandate will expire. So before the exit of any government, that government duly, under the Constitution, can undertake any exercise, including recruitment. Ladies and gentlemen, this revocation will destroy livelihoods. We are talking about the police, those who have been recruited, the police, military. We are talking about fire service, immigration, SEPs. We are talking about GRA. We are talking about all institutions. So we are talking about thousands of jobs, unemployment. The most immediate and devastating consequences of this directive is the mass unemployment. Thousands of Ghanaians who have legally secured jobs will suddenly find themselves without work, not due to incompetence or redundancy or any illegality, but because of a certain political expediency. This decision will also plunge thousands of families into financial distress, worsening the already difficult economic condition. It will also discourage young professionals from pursuing careers in public service, as it indicates that job security is subject to a political current. The government must recognize that public service appointments are not gifts. They are legitimate job opportunities and through due process. These affected workers are not just numbers, they are fathers, they are mothers, they are recent graduates, they are breadwinners. They have committed themselves to national service. Their fate should not be decided by politically motivated directive. The New Patriotic Party has a duty to defend Ghanaians against such unjust directive. We will not support the Mahama administration in destroying the livelihoods of Ghanaians who have gone through the process to secure their appointment. On December 19th, 2016, when the NDC lost, I recall the former President Mahama, then now President Mahama, through the same chief of staff, made key appointments. In fact, on the 16th of December 2026, that was when they appointed the Auditor General, the former Auditor General, Mr. Domlevo, who is part of the discredited ORA. Key appointments were made. Mr. Joseph Whittle, Miss Josephine Nkrumah, and Mr. Daniel Domlevo to lead SHRAJ, National Commission for Civic Education, and the Office of the Auditor General, respectively. Additionally, on December 20th, 2016, President Mahama, through the Finance Ministry, also increased, I recall, the National Service Allowance from 350 Ghana cedis to 549 Ghana cedis, effective January 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, the MPP government under President Kufuor did not cancel these appointments. We honored them. Likewise, we did not dismiss John Mohammed's last-minute appointment or last-minute increase to the National Service Allowance. We honored all of these. This is how democratic governance should function. It's supposed to be a continuum. Therefore, President Mahama cannot revoke the appointment of these recruitments, just as President Kufuor took responsibility for his last-minute appointment in 2016. He must also take responsibility for the appointment made legitimately, whatever date within 2024. Now, because this directive lacked basis and it was not well grounded in law, you realize that there have been a lot of abuses. When you go to Ghana Water, I saw a communique from the chief executive officer saying that for him, he has revoked all appointments from November 2020. Why? Because when he took office, he noticed that the appointment made at Ghana Water were in November 2024. So if he is supposed to stick to the directive of the chief of staff, he will not get anybody to sack. So he had to go back to November 2020. Very bizarre. So because this directive lacked proper legal ground, it's been a subject of abuse by so many state institutions. And this is very, very unfair. We urge Ghanaians whose livelihood are at risk due to this unfortunate directive from President Mohammed's administration to remain strong and recognize that the New Patriotic Party is dedicated to protecting their legitimate jobs. The MPP will fully support any legal action to undo this illegality, this wrongful termination of appointment. I am already in court. I've already directed my lawyers. Today, as I speak, they will serve all processes. They are going to file all processes. Okay? We are in court to challenge the unconstitutional act of the president, and the New Patriotic Party will support any legal action to undo this illegal and wrongful termination of appointment. We also encourage the affected persons to come together and seek legal redress. Ladies and gentlemen, President Mohammed's administration is a growing disaster, particularly in the fight against corruption. As you know, the government established oral committee. Looks like the committee was just set up as a political persecution mechanism. Why? I have a report in my hands. I'll read it. The former Chief Executive Officer of Microfinance and Small Scale Center, Maslow, Sedinam Tamaklu Aduno, has been sentenced to serve 10-year prison with hard labor. The conviction stems from misappropriation of funds allocated for Maslow activities between 2013 and 2016. Over 17 million Ghana cedis, which was meant to be disbursed to victims of fire incident at Kantamantu, was misappropriated by the accused. And even the ones that we've seen circulating, I have not seen even a sentence or even a page talking about Sedinam Tamaklu, somebody or who misappropriated. He was a former CEO of Maslow. And for this person, the entire matter is going through our court processes. The court made pronouncement. He's been sentenced to 10 years in prison. Yet, the oral committee whatsoever did not find it appropriate to tell Ghanaians where Sedinam Tamaklu is. Indeed, I'm even surprised that even yesterday when the Attorney General had the press conference, I was thinking, because this is a pending issue. This is some monies misappropriated, 70 million. I was thinking that the Attorney General will even mention it, that maybe they've been taking steps to make sure that Sedinam Tamaklu will be brought back to Ghana to she rather is a fugitive, not Mr. Furiata. She rather is a fugitive, not Mr. Furiata. President John Dramani Mahama has promised OCA instead of ORA. According to Manasseh Azori, is the Republic's chief clearing agent. Ladies and gentlemen, President Mahama cannot shift the chief clearing agent tag to the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayeni. Yesterday at the press conference, you saw how the Attorney General struggled to say that President Mahama did not direct him to file noli prosequi and that he made a decision independently. I mean, this is bizarre. And for me, this is even more worrying. Such of 5,000 units of houses, $200 million involved. We did not get the 5,000 units. We rather got uncompleted 1,005 units. The said minister was in court. The Attorney General entered into a noli prosequi, and he's been appointed. You have a situation where there is a $66 million scandal hanging around the neck of the former Senate boss, Mr. Ernestom. And instead of him to answer to Ghanaians through the court, again, the Attorney General entered into a noli prosequi, clean this person, says go home. Then you have a former deputy governor in charge of banking supervision, advancing a colossal amount of 400 million or so to a collapsing bank. And he's in court to answer. The Attorney General goes to court, picks this man up, clears all charges. Then the following day, interestingly, he is appointed governor, Bank of Ghana. So you ask yourself, President Mahama, so is it the case that you cannot get anybody at all to be governor, Bank of Ghana, and you must appoint somebody with a heap of cases around this, with so many issues around his neck? He is answering a case in court, a case involving over 400 million Ghana cedis or so. Now, Attorney General goes in, picks him up, clears him, then the following day he's appointed governor. Meanwhile, you are chasing after certain ghost document from ORA. And then you have Mr. Domlevot saying that even all the documents they have gathered, it must be audited before it can be credible. Can you imagine? You've been given a work to do, and then you present your report, and now you are telling us that even the work that you have done is not even correct. It's not even solid, and that we must audit it again. General can tell this story that the president wasn't aware. What kind of governance is that? That you drop such important cases in court, involving former ministers, involving somebody you intended to appoint the governor, Bank of Ghana. You made all of these decisions without the input of the president, and the president wasn't aware. Said this to some children by the fireside, but not to us. President Mahama appointed him and instructed him to clear the NDC members whilst taking steps to prosecute opponent using a certain discredited aura. Even their chairman cannot even declare his assets. He says that he stays in Airport Hills. A plot in Airport Hills is $500,000. He says he's not the owner of the mansion he stays in. Big mansion with swimming pool, 8-bedroom, big mansion. He says that he's been renting this building for the past 8 years. From our checks, it is between $15,000 to $20,000 a month. He told the committee, the vetting committee, that the only source of income for him is the money he receives as an MP. Let's add all his certain allowance, committee allowance, all of that. His pay is 20,000. All the allowances put together, let's say 40,000. Then you stay in a 220,000 Ghana cedis a month house. You, ORA committee chairman, you cannot even declare your assets. You cannot even disclose your source of income. So where do you get money apart from the 40,000? That where do you get money to fund all of these 220,000? Ladies and gentlemen, this Mahama government has deceived Ghanaians. A candidate who campaigned to reduce the cost of living is now busily undermining people's livelihood by revoking their appointment. John Dramani Mahama, who promised to uphold the laws and combat corruption, instead is clearing alleged wrongdoers and turning blind eye whilst the OSP abuses the law to target his political opponent. The NDC did not promise this to Ghanaians. Based on the experience so far, The reset President Mahama promised is a deterioration of Ghana's modest gains. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana needs an upgrade, not just a regressive reset. We are experiencing only a month into President Mahama's governance. We invite Ghanaians to join the effort to hold the Mahama government to strict accountability. Thank you very much. So, many Anama Yabekano Chinso. Ebebono, Bekani TTM on the Tofa. Yetiene Enra special prosecutor, a friend Central for in Shemudi. And Central for in Shemudi are afraid. Or say Yera can ofrata or your former finance minister. Will declare no wanted, Obia or Johnny free attending. A Bushiafo Yera can ofrata Usumi a Jemu, a Dana Tosumi no free, or Maymu, or Srequine, every chief of staff, Yama Mifrimao. Ebra chief of staff of Fra, or we buy Yera Julius Debra, a buy. Or such a crata as hard demand. Say, oh, we're free of my Muna, so here be information be. San said, ni Dibra no do a bemoa. Obehiano, a war. A year provided a point of Befas for the Bemano. Ne abesu email linear yadi nyane na Era can operate lawyer for a trobreo. Kako bisumini enu wetupan. Enti no o hwe na mpomu di na yaresa into obeba. O si da bi wonte ho ase enti no omomfa ebre a obeba emra. Omukan ya na afi hospital krampa. Yewura can operate wo no. Omuto okrata e de breo. Se aha no wo hwe na abehu no wa ha. Eni na enu ani nansa eni ehu se asrafo any openi bakwa the friend of Japa, the anymore, or Marco Ira can ratifi. Akoye to trust my bra, and Marabia Mahonquine, a radam honum, and some fata. Yera special prosecutor, and Becca assembly in Tia. Was what you hear Ira can rata won. None a yas of him. Sans say a castle will be Jania from Round, and I said, Nippon, and it's a coin for won. Wajira nechi. Yera can ofrata echo was requine. Okoya was our truckers has requine. Or Honso in a lawyer for Duke Edi and so was I cried the hospital or corner crack as a couple mouth. Last year, a brother special prosecutor created with him. Airbus and Wassam. Who's we here open your back? Yera Mohammed near back, none needing come. Off plane, echo Yukiho, and Nukudim come. It is a open say no prayer. And had an own for plane now some hospital and now some court. Ye who say ye yera special prosecutor ye no. Aye adia and tray and some fata. Sabi yera can offer to unyanin ko babia. Na mamen kasi so duan so say MPP party and your members. And no bia no wa ban mu bia no. Ye nwane emfiri atenten ne ho. Na emom se ye fa kwati kwan na ye de animguase kwan bi oyaw kwan bi na ye de pese egu obi ani mu ase sanse we di enka ye no ane se na amen na wotwe mienu pe na obi tro krata afi wo hwe nipa na wo hu no ya asemo a asefem ebiem so ahia ye pani ba kwa ono so MP Dr. Sheikh Mustafa ono so nka se o ono so under investigation and never be akoso a yehwem Yero Mustafa Hamid ninsan kan krata akra ebra wo gina simpie so na nse ntofo di nkomo a wo kan asem no kra no na onim ho hwe onka bibia nkyere no onye bibia bato oboni din enye saa na ye adwuma na ekamya kwese bia opeso oboni pani din na odi gu ne ho fia na ase opeso kan asem bi se wo hwe na wo hu na enye no kre. The New Patriotic Party, your members, Omasum, ewo abanye etwa mu. Yen ye jimredi ye bumra. Yen nwane mfiri atentene ne ho. Na emom se ye fa kwati kwan bi ne agu nipa ne mu ase ne ye ka asema enye no krede ye ngintum. Se ye fa kwan bi so se ye pese ye de hunhuna bi eba obi akwan mu de ye nyi ntum da na emom no de we are ever ready rado ti ebesom se ye ne aban dwumakuo bia wo ye nhwemu bia no ye ne bedi dwuma ne etoso mienu na no ye koda sori ye nso a opani Julius Debra se Ghana fo a ya fo mo adwuma e free afie twemu eye December 7th ni nyina ye yi omu nyina adi ntomo a omo police omo a omo ko immigration omo ko prisons omo ko fire service nursing for a doctor for omo a ye for omo civil service mu ene omu nyina na omo nya omo nkrata local government mu ene obia na omo nya omo nkrata eye December 7th no eko no de ye yi obia di asemu etwetwe aso etiatiam na so yewura mahama sebe emra na do baaye wo so afena mu so aye se wo ba bebo Ghana mra ho ban no wa hye mu kena wa ma se wo ba betiatia Ghana mra so yewura mahama emra do baaye ne bo sha wo hye Ghana fo ne se wo di adwuma eba wanka so ba betwetwe adwuma mu enti kwanso na hwe krata yewura Julius Debra de baaye krampo na asefem ni okan na say oh adwuma ayede mom no ase enne amamuo papa enko eno so ni dey medwuma menti ase eno so ni dey good governance and practice eno so ni dey enye se bi okan se omunam kwati kwan bi so omunam kran emrabone so yamfa mra papa so yanje tumi abusua ansa na ebefa obi ewa adwuma mu no ewa aban mu oje financial clearance ebi okra for Ministry of Finance ebi ho no ma board no aye so mo hwe se eyampa se enipa ye fei ye won hu akande ya ebetimi de atu omoka omo nsori prekope emfa nipa enti enipa thousands of jobs and ayira mahama enam se wetwam abusuan se ye mo obi akonya so ma meyo mampani ana sa ban bi ba ye ma no emfie 9 mu no afi bia befa nipa na yewura Julius Debra ne rafi 2016 ebra no say chief of staff kona no ebra ofi aban mu 16 December ono osan krata wo appointee auditor general director no so NCC ene shraj ne sa hye krata ase a wo appoint yewura na nadanko akufado ba wan pamo mo wan kase watwam appointment bia yewura mahama apen so 2016 a office so no ye no ye so mu ade ye adwuma eti wo ba ne obi aye na wonso aye bia to aso so obi fa nwuma na wonso fa nwuma ne bia to aso no abi mo kra de ya men cha de also the 24 hours economy ba e be ye adwuma no pa e be ye adwuma awia e be ye adwuma nwumre e be ye adwuma ahomache eti esi de na ne wo ba na e wo ho no nso no wu twam besre we enamra kwan so na yen the New Patriotic Party yen tra ho magana fo entwa dwadwo sa obi bia opese onamra kwan so no okobia ne ta na chi me a megina ha yi ene ye ma lawyer for court a omode asem na kodu court da bi opani mahama ene ono chief of staff enye mra kwan so ene omonam no na omo nso a asem ya kan omo ye nuanom a asem ya kan omo omo anka omo ko police omo ko military omo ko immigration omo ko prison asem ya kan omo omo nso kan humom na ne oso omo ye bi omo nye oye kire kra omo nye omo maachi no omo fa nko yewura mahama ho omo fa petition koma no se omo so ye Ghana for se de omo mfiri Burkina omo mfiri Togo omo mfiri Ivory Coast omo mfiri Nigeria Ghana here no omo mfiri no omo so ye Ghana for yewura mahama o promise say oba also be the father for all anameboa sa pepepe de ne de ne bae ai ne baba o amo Ghana for eye nti ebesere eno de enamra kwan so bako ne to so miensa ye wi ene se utwa saboni bi a o se ka ho asem Ghana sika mano $200 million say onkosi adan 200 units na mom went miensi 5000 units went miensi 5000 no o see 1005 no kwan so wanwie ebi wo ha ya mboso ebi wo kwan pa foundation level ya nwie ya anya hwe na ye de na court na ye busa ye sika no ba bi akwa akodi a usuma wato ne general wo so wonko yi ni mpie onpepa ne ho onhohoro ne ho we one man position say tax force hajj no na enda no Ira Collins Dauda anso ha usabo ras sneta nso ye 66 million empanifo gina court say omabo aban sika omaye ne basa nti omunyi omo ho no omu gina ho no ma yesi omo enka omasem a ebie matoni general akoya wakwa yi omo bia pepa omo nsa asem no ko ni akire biem omo nkofie na omo nkodi omo juma 66 million anso ha former Bank of Ghana governor ono na ehwe banking sector so ono ye ehwe han ma banking sector iguye ema microfinance savings and loans eguye ono kroya said the sika rose to bear 400 million esa de ma banka onim se eguo na ekofom na sini trase na moja enyunu no sa tablis ka sa de koma no opani gina court oyi na no na nia ahinta se me wom ni se onne enipa bi ahodo be nsia ena se gina court yewura attorney general yewura president Mahama Sumana okoye wakwakoyi onu nko apie ena wapepa ne ho. The following day now he appointed the governor Bank of Ghana. The following day he appointed no Etiera Mahama yenyo obia ni wabem obetimi governor apart from nipa yedi sikasema for ne ho no gina court court emu a ye court say onyina no wasoma watoni general so onko yi nimpie enu nti na Manase Azuri say ene say ye ka the republics Ghana's chief clearing agent commander-in-chief of all clearing agents I won number 1 Ira Mahama ayewo na number 1 san say wo de no kra de ano ohye na nia sefem kra ne say sedinam tamaklo no wo maslo court aye hwehwemu na court na no asema to dwa say 70 million Ghana cedis Ghana for dwadifo kantamanto ehye ye ka asem fa nkomo mo yamfa ama omo na emom ye say no ye ne basa maami onkodam mfiedu maami ebesi ne odno ho kanwura yehuno okra court say ono so medical assistant aba ono kra de yenim na kira kwan ono ne ye ka say obi ye fugitive ono wadwane afiri atentene ne ho yewura kenofiri atade onwane mfiri atentene ene me ka say yewura Mahama bae onmo ho wa obi a court say yenye 70 million fi no onko fiase no onmo ho wa ne attorney general so enra oni media fo share no onka ho asem ti enwanwa atwetwe aso senti ba wo ka se wo keta se ne proye ne krono ye MPPM fo so wo so fo so na abaya nia court aka no onu kra no okoyi ne firi asefem yesre ne se yewura John Mahama o 30 days ya wadi die nya kwese niema ekoso no enye niema pa yen the new patriotic party yaka se obi bia owo abamu a osomye under MPP yen suro se ebehia atentene the new patriotic party so yegina obi bia chi na emom no enya ade a yebepene se yede ayakayaka de ahuru kasem basabasayo ene yede betata yenkofo Davida enti yen ekwan bia ne mra kwan nam so bia se ewo se ye obi enhwemu bia no fully ye support se enkoso ye kra ye beta yenkofo achi abebo mo chidom se omo ebetimi ne mra no chia na emom se ahuru kasem ayakayaka de enya de a agiatumuda suafo se frem na we any entem yede tu menim that's nyamasa.
Coming. We wish you well. Wait for Krobia